The way I broke through the noise was human design. That's what you heard at the beginning is human design was truly the catalyst for me to understand more about myself and how I naturally operate, what my strengths are, how I communicate with people. And it's a deeper layer than, say, Myers-Briggs or Enneagram, disc assessment, all of those personality tests that we're very used to.
This is Breaking Through the Noise, practical strategies from emerging thought leaders who've actually broken through the noise on their terms. I'm your host, Catherine Jelinek. Let's get real and let's get into it. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited today to get to introduce you to Danielle Birkin. Danielle, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So Danielle is the owner of Danielle Birkin, LLC, and she does human design-led business coaching and marketing strategy. So first, we're headed straight into it, is hearing Danielle's story of how she broke through the noise to her intended audience. And then she's going to unpack her wisdom and tell you more how she's learned to share the wisdom that she learned about herself with others and how you can apply it for yourself. Okay. Take it away, Danielle.
Amazing. Thank you, Catherine. I am so excited to be here because really the way I broke through the noise was human design. That's what you heard at the beginning is human design was truly the catalyst for me to understand more about myself and how I naturally operate, what my strengths are, how I communicate with people. And it's a deeper layer than, say, Myers-Briggs or Enneagram, disc assessment, all of those personality tests that we're very used to.
I was just going to ask that, like, what is it for somebody listening who actually hasn't heard of it yet?
Yeah, it's a combination of many different systems, but human design is based on your birth date and time. So we're not even asking you to answer any questions about yourself or how you might operate in a certain scenario. And I think that's the thing that always bothered me about some of the personality type tests is because I might answer it one way over here, or if I'm in this scenario, I might answer it this way.
And
With
I
human
have.
design,
Yes.
right?
I
Exactly.
change over time, truly. Yes.
Yes. But with human design, because it's based on your birth date and time, this is how you naturally came into the world to operate, how you are naturally wired to respond to certain scenarios. So we might see a shadow side of your natural capabilities show up or standing in the light of your design. And my breakthrough was learning to stand in the light of my design because that was truly discovering how I really do operate. And it was starting to trust my intuition that I think was the biggest piece. And so many people have that question like, wait, I know I have intuition, but how do I trust it? How do I know that it's the right direction for me? And sometimes it's scary as heck. And other times it's this just gut knowing that this is the right next step. And for me, I didn't always think I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but over the course of multiple years in corporate, I started realizing that, wow, I really want to work for myself. I want to be able to support other business owners, and marketing was always a gift of mine. So I worked at a marketing agency for 4 years, and in that time realized that I had a true passion for helping small business owners. And it was almost sort of naturally that I started utilizing my own human design to grow my business because there are certain elements and components of your design that help us to see how you're wired to communicate, who you're meant to work with, what people are looking for in terms of your products and your offerings, and what you can create and build based on your human design.
So specifics, like what were you, even if you didn't know that this is what you were doing, what were you doing then that did tie to what you later found out is your human design capabilities?
Yeah, primarily my network. In human design, it's called profile lines, and there are 6 numbers. We can save that for a whole other conversation, but my 2 profile lines are 2, 4, and the 4 is all about networking. It's not about breadth of your network, it's more about the depth and who are you connected to and how are they supporting to spread the word about you. So unknowingly, that's what I really started doing was tapping into who do I know? Who do I need to get connected to? Even just telling my friends and family, "Hey, I'm starting this business. If you know of anyone who needs marketing support, can you send them my way?" And ultimately, that's what truly grew my business and became this breakthrough point of wait, I was using my human design to really create this incredible business and follow my intuition.
Because yours isn't necessarily one that's supposed to go out and work. We had a prior conversation about this, and you're not supposed to kind of like bang on doors and
No.
like be pressing. Like
Cold
that's not
calling?
aligned.
No.
Right. And you know what's really funny is you and I are actually an example of that. Like we met at a local networking event and there was like
Yes.
instant like, "Hi, who are you?" Like a sense of resonance. And then all of a sudden it's like, "Okay, come in, come on, let's talk. Let's see what this is. Let's have a podcast." And
Mhm.
I can see how that's like just one small example of how your network, if it's depth connected, there's like
Yes.
ways to just, it pulls you through.
Yeah, and
I mean,
that's a
not
huge
to take
piece,
too much
right?
credit.
Yeah, but that's literally how it works for a
Yeah.
4 is this network, and it is relationship. It's not
Hmm.
just who do I know? It's building that relationship first. Like I met you at the networking event and didn't immediately say, "Hey, can I be on your podcast?" It was,
Right.
let's get to know each other and we might have that immediate connection, but yeah, let's have depth. And there's a social media post that I see go around a lot that's like, if I ask you how you are doing, I want the long version. And that's me. Like
Mm,
if I'm asking you how you're doing, I don't want, "Oh, I'm fine," or, "Oh, I'm so good, but I've been so busy." No.
mm.
I want the depth. I want the long version of that. And that's what I see with 4s a lot of the time.
Okay. So then I just want to ask a few more questions around this moment of your breaking through. And then I want to ask more questions about human design too.
Yes.
When you told this to me in our prior conversation, it was this effortless event. Like you're like, "Oh yeah, I'll start this on my own." Told a few people, and boom, like you had clients. So I feel like you were also filling a need. But I love the nuance of what you're sharing here because whether or not a person's ready to get on board with human design, I think they can hear this loud and clear. It's when you're leveraging your network in a relational way and going for depth and intention in your connections and letting that just be the only. And then the other things come, but you're
Yeah.
not going out there with this agenda. You're just
Right.
enjoying being a human being.
Yeah,
And your
exactly. And
business
that
blossomed from that.
yeah. And that was and it's so funny because I hear it a lot like, "Oh, this overnight success," right? Like you started a business in June of 2023 and by September of 2023 I left my full-time job. But there were years and years of discovering what I wanted to do, trying to make it work, following everyone else's strategy out there, downloading all the courses and all the freebies and all the use this strategy because it's what made me money and got my business off the ground. So, here, this is going to work for you too. And so often it didn't. And I started to wonder, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I make this work? Maybe I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Maybe. And finally, it was this tapping into this is what I'm really good at. This is what I actually enjoy doing. And here's how I'm just going to start to, again, unknowingly use my human design to start to build a business that actually brought me joy. And that's a huge part of the generator type. So, human design has 5 different types. I'm a generator, and generators, when they follow their joy, when they're doing things that light them up, they become natural magnets to
Mm.
people. And that's sort of what ended up happening. And I was so tied into truly wanting to help other business owners. And that was such a magnetic piece to it as well. That, again, I think I saw such a huge shift very quickly, but it was years in the
I
making.
get that. I mean, I think most entrepreneurs who have this experience also get that. You're like the 13-year overnight success. Like
Yes,
there's like,
exactly.
how long did I build and refine and learn and shift and fail? And then finally the thing, matched and went. And
Hmm.
yes, yes. But what I love most and how you fit so well with the breaking through the noise concept is that you did it as yourself. There was deep alignment. I struggle. And part of the reason this podcast exists is because it sucks out there to try and break through the noise and then to feel like you have to chase algorithms or to like dance it all the right way in order to connect to your audience. You lose sincerity and authenticity in that. And I
Hmm.
love so much that I mean, however many years in the making, but that like doing it your way, just the lights came on and you were so
Yes,
easy or quickly able to shift from corporate to fully, you know, supported in your own endeavor. So
100%.
then what do you do now? Like tell us more. And one quick question, sorry, get into that. But real quick on human design, I know that we're going to have a few listeners out there. And granted, I'll raise my hand. I'm woo. I love this kind of stuff. But
Yes.
like some people who are like, okay, is this a little woo? Sounds like astrology. I'm not going to run my marketing on this. So how do you, I don't know. It's not like you have to win everyone either, but how do
No.
you explain it to someone who might have that kind of response?
Well, and I think a lot of it does come back to systems that we're used to, right? Like Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, disc assessment. We have built corporate cultures around that and seen it work. And what I have come to find is that, again, human design, I might not necessarily be able to say, like, this is exactly how I can get your chart from your birth time and it feels like a spot on explanation of who you are. But I have been able, over the course of the past 2 years, seen multiple clients that when we shift into how they naturally operate and build a strategy from that,
Hmm.
it's a game changer. I've had clients who have utilized their human design. We've created their marketing strategy from that. And in a 60-day time period, left their full time jobs because
Hmm.
they are tapping into their magnetism. And so human design, it's not just, your strengths. It is that, but it is also how do you naturally communicate? Because a lot of the time in the marketing world, we hear, well, parrot your client's words back
Sure.
to them. Some designs, that's not true, and we can start to see what is your natural rhythm for writing content, for creating not dancing videos, for
Yeah.
like, are you here to write long form content or are you here to do these short bursts of content that you're responding to and like, ooh, this is really lighting me up. And so I want to share about it right now.
Hmm.
Maybe you're not the type of human design type that batches content. That's another one that just kills me is that if you're not batching content, you're not great at marketing. Like, nope. Another myth that's out there. And we can see it play out in your human design. So there are so many different elements that we can attribute to a strategy that feels very aligned for you and isn't just woo, because I've seen it work time and time again, not just with myself. I think that was the biggest thing for me was like, okay, I built a very successful business. I broke the six-figure mark my first full year in business and started to wonder like, okay, is
That
this
I
just me, right? Like, or can I actually help other entrepreneurs take their human design and create a very aligned strategy and help them see success
cool.
in their business? And it's proven itself time and time again.
What I love most is the alignment, intention at the core of it. And speaking to something about like you're picking up things that are part of a person's nature, even more than nurture, usually, because the nurture, and all these other indexes, sometimes here we grow and things evolve, but
Yeah.
you're speaking to things that are deeply elemental about us. And I love that you kind of allow the relaxing exhale of don't
Yeah.
have to do it like this, like this, like this. And also, if a person's out there kind of uncertain, some folks are like, yep, I know my place is TikTok. Yep, I know my place is Substack.
Yeah.
But if you're uncertain and trying to figure out what's right for you, using tools like this to give you some indication of what isn't and what is so cool.
Yeah.
Want to ask, I know that it's all, kind of nuanced sometimes based on the person.
Okay, so I've pulled up your chart, and that way we can give, right, a couple examples of how you, Catherine, are going to utilize your human design in a way that feels most natural to you. So, one of the areas I love to look at, so Catherine is a generator, again, 5 types. It's sort of that like overarching umbrella. Think of it as like the Enneagram numbers, but we're going so much deeper. So, profile lines are a place that I love to look at first in a person's human design chart because it's in relation to your personality. How do you show up? How do people experience you? And then we can also see that in the reverse of who are you attracting in your own marketing? So, Catherine is a 3-5, and the 3 is all about trial and error. So,
Hmm.
for someone to tell you, like, Catherine, just go do this thing and don't ask any
Hmm.
questions about it, or just do it. You're like, no, gotta, I gotta try all of this out and get my own experience of it first. So people who resonate with you the most are going to be those ones who see the fact that you've gone the path. You've done the things that they're like, okay, does this really work? Does this not work? The 3 is all about trial and error and being able to say at the end, like, okay, I went this pathway before, and here's the experiences that I've had that you can take and learn from me.
Okay, so I'll just relate to this really quickly.
Yeah,
I think my husband can say with frustration that I don't always on advice or like the things
exactly.
that you hear are the normal steps to take. I'm a sensing person and I need to kind of like feel it out and then sense like I always say that I'm playing Jenga with life. And I'm
I
like
love that.
tapping the blocks and I'm like, what one's gonna move for me? And so I can relate to this in this way where I know that in an annoying way, I sometimes don't listen to really great advice. And I don't mean to do anything other than admire the people who offer it to me, but
Yeah.
it's just this weird, like needing to feel through
Yes.
things. It's kind of like intuition out there, like sensing what door I need to walk into. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's how I kind of compost what you're sharing there.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the other side of that, we see the 5. So the 5 is the leader, the problem solver. So
Mhm.
you probably have quite a few people who come to you with very specific problems that
Yes.
they're looking for you to solve. And so we see the balance of the two. That's really why there are 2 numbers in your profile lines, is because if you were always in trial and error, you'd never have that leadership of here's how I
Mm,
can solve your problem because I've also experienced it and I've tried all the ways. And
mhm.
here, let me share all of let me share all of them with you. So we really can't have one without the other. For example, my human design, I'm a 2-4. The 2 is the hermit, the 4 is the networker, which,
Wow. Yeah,
right,
I
like
get it. Like your yin yang sides. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay,
That is a
interesting.
great explanation of it. It is that yin and yang, how they fit together. Because if I always lived in my hermit, well, how would I ever have amazing conversations with
Yeah, I
people
do
like
love a
you?
good hermit.
I do love my hermit moment. I know when I've peopled too much and when I need to come
Call it
into my
quits.
own little cave. The other thing that I want to speak to quickly as well on your chart is, as a generator, each type has a corresponding strategy. So we are both generators. We both have the same strategy. And the strategy is wait to respond. That trips people up a lot because, like, if I'm waiting to respond, how can I
Mm,
build a business? How do I actually move forward in life? And the thing that I like to share is that you are always in response. So I was in response to meeting you at the networking event, right? Like being
mm,
able to reach out on LinkedIn and say, hey, let's connect, or listening to a podcast and saying, oh, that really resonated with me. I now want to go write a piece of content on it, or I want to create a podcast episode on it. We are in response all the time. But that piece of it means that creating this like long content calendar, like month or quarter long content calendar, really does not work for a generator because
hmm.
it doesn't necessarily allow for that response. So that,
Yeah.
like, this is the thing that is speaking to me today. And then
Hmm.
that's where so much resonance really comes forward in content is
Yes, where you can feel it.
yes,
Yes. That there's
exactly.
like an active aliveness behind what was shared.
Yeah.
And you what you're saying hits because I can't get myself to do like regular shit, like
No,
unfortunately.
me either.
Only if I feel inspired. And then even when I know I need to post, like for example, to share about this conversation, I have to like get into the feeling of it and like, just I mean, for sure AI helped me clean it up, but like, you got to have that energy in it.
Yes,
And so
exactly.
I hear what you're saying. I really do. That's useful with the marketing. A quick
Hmm.
follow up question, and then I know we're getting close to our time,
Yeah.
which is like always the case. I feel like with you, we could talk way longer.
No.
But how would I use like that 3-5, for example, in my marketing stuff? Like bring that through for me. Like how those
Yeah.
numbers can
So
be used in
I
marketing understanding.
Yeah, so I would look at it from the perspective of how are you writing content? How are you writing your sales pages? And really speaking to the fact that I have lived this experience. So the
Mm,
3, and that, like, here's the things that I've tried before, and here's what I really see to be true. And then really the 5 does really great with FAQ, having the problem and answer. So questions that people might consistently come to you with, having content created from that perspective is also really great for the 5 because it's very likely people come to you with similar enough questions that you're like, I've answered this about 10 different times. And okay, here's my FAQ. And then you could create, singular pieces of content off of that FAQ. But that's a really quick, very
yeah,
quick
I get that.
way.
And just to relate to that so that examples can be felt from this conversation is where I'm doing that is in the work we do to create books or help
Yeah.
entrepreneurs put their books. And I get to do the early part, which is like, I just love it. Talk to them and help them reflecting back like the message underneath the story. Cause sometimes we can't see it for ourselves. So what you're talking about solutioning, I feel like it's that. It's like the sensing
Yes.
and seeing the message. And there's definitely things like that that I've done on YouTube and stuff where I'm like, oh, I noticed that it's when we're shifting archetypes in our own lives that we're ready to write a book. You've like just finished the hero's journey in one chapter. So now you're ready to like, you're moving into another, but you can actually speak to it as the guide now, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
too much there, but I can see what you're saying.
But I love it. Well, and there's so, I'm looking at your chart right now, and there are multiple things that you just shared right there that I can see in your chart that explain, right?
Sure.
Like how you created this process and the process that you personally do when it comes to books. And honestly, it's probably shown up in your entire life, but
Mm.
you can so easily relate it right now to the role that you're in. And that's the part that I love about human design is that it is so layered. We are
Mm.
layered human beings. We're not just, one number on an Enneagram scale or a, a disc assessment like or letters that
Yeah,
there are so many different facets, and it's like peeling back these layers of an onion, which I wish we had a better analogy than an onion.
I know. Stinky onions. Yeah.
Right. But it is that like layered approach, and when you can see it all come together inside of your human design and then express it outwardly through your marketing, like that's where the magic really lives.
Sweet. And what I just bring it home, I love so much the most is this different way of uncovering alignment and sensing resonance in your own behaviors and what fits. And the other message of not everything has to fit. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's good. Oh my God. It's so awful to think you have to market, especially marketing, like market
Right.
the same
I
way
think
as
it
other
gets a
people.
bad rap.
But it just sucks to try and be just like someone else if it doesn't
Yeah.
feel natural. And there's reasons for that. Even if they're not ready for human design, still leaning into like, don't have to do it like everybody
Right.
else.
Yeah.
Okay, but if they're ready to lean into human design, let's talk about the fun little invite you have.
Yes. Yes. So for Catherine's podcast listeners today, I am gifting a nice discount on a human design guide. So the guide really is you on paper. It is how you can use it to market yourself and your business. It is how you naturally show up, how you communicate. And all of these elements are written down for you so that you can reference them time and time again. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying at the very beginning that with Enneagram disc assessment, again, I have no shade against those personality type tests because I think they do help us to see ourselves in a certain light. I have seen that with human design because you are not answering any questions, it is how you naturally show up in the world. And so, because it's based on your birth date and time, you can reference this for literally the rest of your life. I've had clients print it off and will, highlight, tab certain pages to come back to because a lot of the times something might show up in our life and we can go back to our human design and say, is this in alignment or is it out of alignment
Mm.
with my
Mhm.
design? And so, is that scenario something that I am living in the shadow of or in the light of? And that guide almost becomes sort of like your Bible, essentially,
Yeah.
like your
Like a
life
good
guide on how to show up.
guidepost, a
Yeah.
map. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
100%.
Okay. And so this is the usual price of,
95.
and
And we are doing a special discount of 75 for
cool.
Catherine's group here today.
Thank you so much. And so the link to get that discount will be in the show notes. And we will
Yes.
not, we'll just have it there so that not everybody knows what it is. Okay, folks? Like only those who actually listened, like you did,
Yes.
will know why this random
Very
link is here in the
special.
show notes. Right, right. And nobody else will click it. No, hopefully they do. But, anyways, yay. And you also do work with courses for entrepreneurs who want to take this deeper. So everybody, you know Danielle's name, you will see the link. It will direct you to her stuff. Like if you're interested in going deeper than even this beautiful things she's offering. There are definitely ways. And I just want to say thank you, because more and more inspiration to do it our own way is key. And sometimes it's fun not just to hear the shared experience, but to also hear about like a different thing out there that can be used to help us uncode ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. 100. I love using the decode,
decode
design, because we get to decode how we actually use it in our day-to-day lives. And that's what I've really loved, is that it is actually a practical tool that we can use and translate for like how we show up in our relationships, how we communicate with others. Even in parenting, I know my children's designs and I use human design to help support them to be the best parent I can for them. So multiple different ways that you can use your human design.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for this illuminating conversation and just for your time and sharing the wisdom. And I hope everybody, you held on through the using me as an example and got the idea that it was more to see how this can, be used. Less about like, hopefully it didn't bore us to tears. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, 100%. That's the fun part. I think it's so fun to see how we can actually translate your design, seeing examples. I think, at least for me, that's always helpful of, oh yeah, I think that shows up similarly for me, or I wonder how it shows up for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shared love for the nuances of who we are as individuals. And that's what, I love it when people get to geek out about that. I do too in my own realm. It's like, oh, your story. Oh, look at these things, So, it's cool to see a real craftswoman in this. It's delightful. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Danielle. And thank you everyone for listening. And we look forward to chatting with you, being with you next time. Till next time. Thank you for listening to Breaking Through the Noise. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And drop a comment on topics you want to hear about in future episodes. We'd love to hear that. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.